Welcome to Cross Transformation. It's Mariam here, and today I'm going to be talking to you about why do I find myself walking into toxic relationships the whole time. I mean, not once or twice, but quite frequently. Why wouldn't we? If we have got our ego in the state of projection, then by all means, we must find ourselves walking into unhealthy and toxic relationships the whole time. And I'm going to talk about this today, that how the state of projection can result in us finding ourselves in toxic relationships. Now, I've done many different videos about ego. There is this one that is called Ego's 3-step program that is great to watch, because in that video I'm explaining how ego creates this 3-step program for us not to heal but to become the trauma itself. Step 1, internalizing. Step 2, becoming the trauma. Step 3 is the projection. And as long as we are in that state of being, because of ego's unhealed stuff and inability to heal us, we are going to walk into toxic relationships, so we can eventually learn to surrender, to make changes, some changes to come out of those relationships, and more importantly, to heal our souls. So when it comes to toxic relationships, the ego has been projecting the abandonment wounds onto this world, onto the realities we are experiencing. So we really want to become aware of what is happening here. About awareness, I've got 2 great videos. One is about awareness being a seed that we need to choose a good quality soil to nurture it in a good condition, so we can realize that God is within us, He's present with us, we are in Him, and He is love. So make sure to check that one out, because that is going to help you in relation to nurturing your awareness. I don't believe in having absolute awareness. I believe that we are going through different stages of awareness, and for that to happen, we need to understand the condition that we choose to plant the seed of awareness. Anyways, coming back to today's topic, talking about projection, which is ego's ultimate goal. So whatever trauma we had, it will be internalized, we will become it, and then ultimately we are going to be the projection of that trauma. So when it comes to toxic relationships, the core of it is abandonment. So when as a child we had a mom or a dad that abandoned us, and abandonment is not necessarily a physical experience, it can also be emotional. So having had that emotional or physical abandonment can lead to the experience of walking into toxic relationships, because to begin with, ego internalized that abandonment, and internalizing is not grieving our losses. So we are holding on to that loss, the dad that didn't happen to come home, the mother that left us for another guy or for another relationship, whatever that was. We are holding on to it, not grieving it, and ego will create narratives so it can restore that relationship. Not that ego or ego's job is to restore the relationship. Ego's work is to go back to the unconscious and read the script in the unconscious. That's what ego does. So that's the reason we need to be a good friend to our ego, so we can access the stuff in the unconscious and do the healing work. Other than that, ego is about internalizing. I'm holding on to that loss. I'm not grieving it. I'm creating narratives instead. And those narratives will decide who we are. So we start becoming those narratives and creating our lives out of those narratives. Eventually, because it's quite overwhelming for us to survive those ruptured connections, the losses we had, the ego decides, you know what? It's time to project them. So abandonment is not going to show itself as abandonment outside of you in your other realities. I mean, there will be people coming into your life that will do the same thing that your mom and dad did, abandoning you, but you are not going to be that abandonment itself. So if you have had abandonment issues, what's going to happen next is that abandonment in you will be projected as rejection. So what you are sending out is, I'm not good enough, I can't be loved, reject me. There is something very wrong about me, really bad about me, and I can't agree with myself. I can't accept myself. I can't approve of myself. I'm not lovable. So there's this pattern of rejection because somehow the ego created narratives that told us your dad abandoned you, but it wasn't his fault. You weren't good enough. You weren't lovable. So that rejection is what is sitting there. So we become the projection of that abandonment, which means I've got rejection patterns in me, and then the reality outside of me, the partners that I happen to be with or the friends will abandon me again because I'm experiencing that abandonment within myself, which is rejection, because that abandonment in me has become rejection, and that is the state of projection. Hopefully I'm explaining this quite clearly because it is so fascinating and quite complex what happens to us, and it is just so great when we can work through it and undo the work that was done to us, or the ego decided to go ahead with that work. So we are literally undoing the program, the unconscious stuff, so we can find ourselves walking into great realities, healthy realities, encountering great people on this planet. So if you're walking into toxic relationships the whole time, it is only because there is rejection, and it is ego's state of projecting abandonment as rejection. So that means I've become the rejection itself because of that early abandonment in my life, and these people that are happening to come to my life are also abandoning me, reflecting on that initial or that trauma. So what I need to do is to heal the pattern of rejection, not necessarily focusing on the abandonment, because then it's about people creating changes for me to feel better. We want to change that rejection by understanding that it is abandonment being projected as rejection in us, and it's a coping mechanism that ego offers. Hopefully you'll find this video helpful. May you be blessed. Thank you so much for all your support and kindness. Bless your soul. Be at peace. Look after your precious soul. Have a great day, and I'll talk to you soon. God bless you.